Hi everybody, I want to thank you all for praying for us and for Eli and for everything that we've been going through. It has definitely helped. We have been able to overcome something very big and traumatic for anybody to go through, especially with a little one, and it's called DKA, Diabetic Ketoacidosis. And I wanted to take this moment to explain what happened to us so that we can reach other parents and so that you can know what are the signs of this before it gets to that point of DKA, because it's very life-threatening and very scary for anybody to go through. So first, diabetic ketoacidosis is when your body stops producing insulin, and it's diabetic type 1. It doesn't come from anyone, it just happens, and your body stops producing insulin, and that in turn makes your blood very acidic, it's very painful, especially for little kids that don't know how to explain it or tell you what's wrong with them. For what it is, it turns into ketones, and which is the liver that it processes fat, which is your fat and your muscle tissue, into fuel. And that's called ketones, which is very painful for a little baby to go through, a little child. Usually between the ages of 2 and 7 is when they kind of figure out when this happens, unless it's an older child or an adolescent. But for someone so little that doesn't know how to explain, what is going on, they can tell you that, "Mommy, my stomach hurts," and it just hurts all over, and they don't know how to tell you it's not that I have to go to the bathroom, and it's not anything else, it just hurts. And it's because the ketones, the acidity is so high that it's burning them. And these are the things that we learned the hard way, that Eli started to not be so hungry, and he started to tell me, my stomach hurts, and he would cry about eating food. If you see things like excessive amount of drinking water, you think, oh, okay, my kid's drinking water, that's great. But no, it's not necessarily kid drinks water, but when it's an excessive amount of water, especially really cold water, an obsession with ice in the water is another key thing. And so the stomach ache, the ice in the water, the excessive amount of drinking, the excessive amount of going to the bathroom, urinating, it's constant. You'll see that it's a little strange for someone to be going so much. Also, the lethargic. He became very, very, very lethargic, taking 3 naps within 3 hours. Just couldn't even, he was so exhausted, he couldn't even stay awake. We were going to the grocery store and the shopping, and he just fell asleep in the cart. Also, very warning sign if they happen to have an accident. For a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, they usually don't have accidents. You'll see that they have an accident. And it was very, very scary to see that this happening, and all of a sudden, like I said, because of the ketones were so high, he dropped weight drastically to become like skin and bones. You can see that the fat and the muscles were disappearing, and the body was trying to keep itself alive. So the body was eating itself just to keep the brain functioning. If you see those signs, run. Don't even wait a second, because he ended up in the emergency room with a blood sugar level of 772, which was super, super severe. They didn't give him anything to drink or eat, only ice chips, and they had to give him 2 IVs with fluids, and they had to drop him slowly in order for him to not have any brain damage or any other issues in his body. Once they were able to stabilize him a little bit, We were taken in an ambulance to the airport, and we traveled to Salt Lake City, private jet plane, and it was very hard to see, your baby strapped to a stretcher in a private jet plane in the middle of the night, going to an emergency room. And then from there, we took another ambulance ride to the pediatric hospital there in Salt Lake City, Utah, which was a blessing. They were great, but they were able to bring him back. They showed us what to do and how to pretty much keep him maintained. He is now insulin dependent. So just all these signs are key for any child becoming diabetic. And it's too hard to talk about. I'm going to just learning how to keep his carbs down and not so much sugars or carbohydrates, and monitor him that way. So if anyone is even remotely concerned, just test your child by the age of 2. It's when they start to test in the doctor's office. They don't necessarily tell you why, but it's because this just happens. And so if your child is prone to it, it will show up in the blood sugar levels by the time that they're 2 years old. So have them tested. And if there's any traumatic thing that happens in your life, whether it's a virus, whether it's a sickness, whether it's a scare, whether it's stress, like a move or something, those can be triggers that can make this happen. Because we had no idea. This doesn't run in our family. We had no idea this was happening. And all of a sudden I saw him change, and all these signs were there, but I had no clue of any of it because it's not around us. So just make sure that you don't have any of these signs or any stress level of any sort, like our move, and that's what triggered him to occur. So I hope this video is enlightening to all mothers and parents to check their children, to make sure that they catch it early before they get to DKA, because DKA, if we would have waited just a few more hours or one more day, he would have been into diabetic coma, and we don't know if we would have been able to have him still around. So thank you very much for your prayers. Keep praying. And thank you for watching.